Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, students. I am Shakil Ahmed, and we are doing book Window Toward History, Chapter 1, The Ancient World for Class A level students or Class 6. Today we will cover the topic is the Babylonian civilization. This is part 4 of Chapter 1, and let's start and study the Babylonian civilization. So Babylonian civilization thrived, flourished on the already existing Sumerian civilization. We learned in our last video about the Summer Valley civilization. The Babylonian civilization was existed on the same Sumerian civilization. They conquered this land and founded the Babylonian civilization. And this is how this civilization thrived on the same already existing Sumerian civilization. They had great rulers like Hemorrhabi, Sargon, Nebuchadnezzar. These were the famous rulers of Babylon, and we will study about them. We will learn about them. Let's starting moving to the next slide. Learn about the features of the Babylonian civilization. Now, what were the main features of the Babylonian civilization? Babylonian, they were polytheists, uh, believing in many gods and goddesses. They had their own gods, and their gods have characteristics like human. They can fight, get married, and also living like humans. So they believed that their gods also went through all the worldly sufferings. Their gods went through all the worldly difficulties. They faced all the difficulties, and their religious leaders. Priest means religious leaders. Their religious leaders were able to predict the future. They were able to tell about the future by studying sun, moon, planets, and stars. So they were astrologists. The priests were astrologists, studying sun, moon, planets, and star, and telling the future, predicting the future. And they had knowledge of geography, life sciences, and astrology. Already mentioned that the priests were able to predict the future. They had knowledge of astrology and geography, the masses of the land. They knew about the masses of the land, that which area is where, and um, different land masses. They had knowledge of geography and life sciences, and they were well known architect. They loved to build buildings. They were architects and constructed enormous castles. They constructed many castles. So these were five main features of Babylonian civilization. They were polytheist, they believed that their gods went through all the worldly sufferings. The priests were astrologists, studying sun, moon, and planets and stars. They were able to tell about the future, and they had the knowledge of geography, life sciences, and astrology. And they were well-known architects and constructed many enormous castles. Moving to the next slide, this is the map of Babylonian Empire. The green part is showing the map of Babylonian Empire. You can see in this map Syria, Haran, Ashur, and Elam, the Iran area of Iran, Babylonia, Erech. These were the uh, regions of the Babylonian Empire. Now moving to the next slide. Contributions of the Babylonian Empire. Now they were inventors. They invented wheel, and they divided an hour into 60 seconds. They had their own calendar, and their calendar had 360 days in a year. So they invented wheel and divided an hour into 60 seconds. They had their own calendar of 360 days in a year. They made the first sailboat. Sailboat, you can see the sailboat like this. They built they were the first. They built the sailboats, and they made sundial to know the time. They made this type of sundials by using the shine of the sunshine. They were able to know the time, and this was their sundial. And nowadays we use wall clocks like this. This was the dial, mentioned all the hours and minutes on it, and with the sunlight they were able to know that what time was that at that time, what was the time. And they invented the pillow, which is used in fields. Okay, fields, to plow the fields, and for cropping they invented this pillow, and they developed cuneiform writing style. They developed this cuneiform writing style, and they were the first written laws to the world. They gave the written laws to the world. So these were the contributions of the Babylonian Empire. They gave the first written laws to the world, developed the cuneiform writing style, invented law, made sundial. They were the first to made the sailboats, and they had their own calendar of 60 days. They divided an hour into 60 seconds. Now moving to the next slide, these were the contributions of Babylonian Empire. Famous rulers of the Mesopotamia. As I already mentioned that they had different famous rulers like Sargon, Hemorrhabi, Nebuchadnezzar. These were the famous rulers of the Mesopotamia. Now studying the Sargon, why he was famous. Uh, Between 2334 to 2279 BCE, the king Sargon founded the Akkadian Empire and conquered the lands across southern Mesopotamia, Syria, Anatolia, and Elam, western Iran. So he was the conqueror. He conquered different lands: Syria, Anatolia, Elam, Mesopotamia, southern Mesopotamia. So he was a conqueror and founded. He is known as the Sargon of Akkad. So Sargon of Akkad defeated the Sumerians in 2300 BCE. So he defeated Sumerians and founded his own kingdom. So as mentioned, he conquered southern Mesopotamia. So he conquered this land and founded his own kingdom. So he was a conqueror, famous for his conquests. Now moving to the ruler. Next ruler was Nebuchadnezzar II. Nebuchadnezzar II, he was the longest reigning, greatest king of Babylonian Empire. He ruled the most. He ruled longest. He ruled Mesopotamia for a long period of time. So from 623 to 539 BCE. It was 100, and you can say 116 years he ruled this area. He led the famous Battle of Judah. Now, this famous Battle of Judah, basically, Judah was an area near Palestine. They revolted against him. They revolted against Nebuchadnezzar, and he led the battle against them. He fought against them and against the Judah, the area near present day Palestine, the land mass. That region revolted against him, and he led against in the battle. He established famous city of Babylon and made it his capital. So established city of Babylon and made it his capital. And it is believed that he built the mystical hanging garden of Babylon for his wife Emitis. Emitis was his wife, and he built this hanging garden of Babylon. You can see the picture of this region, hanging garden of Babylon. This is the picture of hanging garden of Babylon, and he built this hanging garden of Babylon for his wife Emitis. So Nebuchadnezzar was the longest reigning king of Babylon, almost 116 years, and he led the battle against Judah. Judah, they revolted against Babylon, and he fought against them. So he led the battle against them, against the revolt. He established city of Babylon and made it his capital. And he also built the hanging garden of Babylon for his wife Amitis. Okay, that's all from this slide. Now moving to the next slide. Hemorrhabi. Hemorrhabi ruled from 1810 to 1750. 1810 to 1750. These were the this was the timeline of Hammurabi, and he was famous basically for his politics, codifying the Sumerian language and unifying southern Mesopotamia, united southern Mesopotamia with the city state with the capital at Babylon. So he is also known for court laws that he inscribed on the monolith, single piece of stone. He made laws and inscribed them on the single piece of stone monolith. You can see here a picture. This is the picture where the laws are written on it. It is a monolith, and he inscribed those laws which he made on it. And the famous law, those laws for the regarding trade, social issues, and crime. They had 282 laws. He made 282 laws, and the famous law was an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. This was the famous law. Out of 282 laws, the most famous law was an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. So, if we see the contribution of Hammurabi, he was famous for his politics, and he codifying means arranging Sumerian language. He arranged Sumerian language. Codifying means arranging. So he arranged Sumerian language. Okay, and he united southern Mesopotamia city state with the capital city of Babylon. So he united the capital city of Babylon with the Mesopotamian city state, and he is known for his laws, which are also known as law code of Hammurabi. Code of Hammurabi here. Uh, He made laws for the regarding trade, social issues, and crime. Okay, these were the famous contributions of Hammurabi, and his famous law was an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. This was all about the Hammurabi. Okay, he inscribed laws on monolith, a single piece of stone. Okay, now that's all from my side. You can visit my website and please subscribe my channel and tick the bell icon. Visit my website for the question and answer. You will find there question and answers of this chapter. So from my side, that's all. Allah Hafiz.